Hello, everyone. Welcome to another interesting day on planet Earth. And I think you're going to really want to hear what I have to say today. It's been about a week since the so called solar eclipse, which I won't go into, but I just want to pinpoint some things that have been going on in my life, which I know from talking to many in our community have exactly the same issue. And isn't that interesting? Because if in the unified field, we are all experiencing the same thing just through our different perception and our different life events, or you can call it the movie of your life, because the things that you're working through is just a projection of how you see the world and where the wounds are. So I have to say, I've had a really, really hard week emotionally, and the topics to do with that are abandonment and guilt. And as I said, I'm not the only one that's going through that. So I'm probably speaking to you right now as well about these topics. And it hasn't been just something I know on a logical level. I've actually been experiencing, as I always say to you, when you haven't been able to resolve the in your inner world, now it gets projected into your outer world. So I've had very outer world experiences for me to transform through, and it is very transformational time because we are in fact in between the solar eclipse and or solar event, I'll call it, and the lunar eclipse, which occurs on our next New Earth Academy of Eternity. So another very strong sign, and it's in the sign of Leo. And Leo's all about endings and closure and letting go. And so with the lunar eclipse in Scorpio, it's anything but subtle. It's um, I guess primed to encourage a big emotional release, and that's what I've been going through. And I like to think I am my greatest work in that I don't sit by when there is stuff going on for me, whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally. I've always been one to throw myself into and ask for support. And I've been lucky enough to, I guess, to know the channels where I need to go for what somebody else may be able to assist me with. And so I had a beautiful session with a dear friend in our community called who's a kinesiologist, but she's a real angel. So she's done our work, but she's a lovely spiritual being. And she came up and she said, "Oh, look, there's some unconscious abandonment there." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I've worked on abandonment so much. I don't have an issue with it." Yet in my world, at the very same time I was saying that, I was experiencing the feelings of being abandoned. And there's nothing worse than abandonment than being within your own family, because you'll put up with things in your own family that you won't put up with anyone else. And so as was moving through this, especially on the weekend, Brian looked into my face, and he didn't have to give me much more because I'd already had a look what was happening. I was processing stuff. I could see it in my face. And he said, "Oh, you've been a little snappy today." And I just went and threw myself in nature and pulled out weeds and did all sorts of things because I could feel myself, I needed to have a cry. I needed to process. I needed to get my head in another space around things. And I guess, having a very strong mental mind, I was processing events and, looking at my point of view, looking at the other point of view. And really, it was a chance to me to come back to my own, self-esteem, self-worth, and say, would I put up with this behavior, toxic behavior, with anyone else, in the outer world? And it was no. And then I came back to some of the work that I've done previously in quantum collapse, and I looked at the person and I said, "What are you teaching me? What are you showing me? How is your behavior triggering me to see myself somewhat different?" And so moving through all sorts of feelings of guilt, and we always look back in our past and think, oh, I could have done it better. And as my mum used to say, it's always wonderful to put an old head on young shoulders. But so I had, as I was processing through that, and I got to the place of deep gratitude because I can see the behavior of this family member was actually driving me back to see that I was a good person, that I am worthy, that I am, there's nothing to be guilty of. So she actually was able, my family member was able to show me that, you know, this was pushing me to go back in and do the work and do the work. And this is very much what Scorpio is all about at this time, because I have a moon in Scorpio, and moon in Scorpio is all about emotions and very deep emotions. So we can think of what's happening at the moment, this lunar eclipse, as a point in the sky that is akin to like the cosmic garbage disposal, signaling that we need to go on a path and surrender and allow ourselves to go through it, as painful as it can be. And given the nod to currently what's happening, it helps us to really push through that, and go where we need to get the support. But the biggest support you'll find is within, and just sitting with what feels very uncomfortable at that time. And this is the period of time that's really showing us, Scorpio especially, is showing us our shadow side. So it's very easy to get into, blame, or, from a place of righteousness. But the intense power of Scorpio gets you to look deeper within, and help you to shift and move through that. And what that may require, and is always very hard when it's family members, is to absolutely let them go and create better boundaries for yourself and for the other person, so that the toxic behavior doesn't hold. And how I saw it, very much from a point of view of, it was like a matrix overlay that uh, that you mightn't be able to see because you're living it and experiencing it and not really pulling it apart, as you go on your busy day-to-day life. But it was what was very clear. It was like this overlay that was sort of triggering all these things in the outer world and keeping me in a little bit of confusion in the inner world, and especially in the head about, like, well, it should be like this and it has to be like that and this is how you should be, so all those should things. But I can say I'm very much through it. And the last bit of it was a beautiful an adjustment with my chiropractor who does emotional work yesterday, just releasing it from the lower back where it was stored. And today I can say I'm absolutely, totally shifted through it. So I can feel like I have my my power back. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I mean my inner power, because this whole process I felt powerless, and like I'd been gutted, like I'd been punched in the stomach, and just, in sort of shock sort of thing. So it's been a massive process in the last week. And as I said, very much in my inner world. And only today I can speak about it with sort of coming back on the other side. And I know that in your life currently, you'll be also experiencing aspects of that. And know that it's very, very natural for what is happening for us collectively at the moment. And I guess the biggest abandonment in that, and some of the path that I got to see on that was, and the question I asked myself, where have I abandoned? But more importantly, where have I abandoned myself? And the biggest abandonment in the collective consciousness is our abandonment to our spiritual side, to acknowledging our light as soul, and to also the great abandonment of us to the prime creator, where we've totally pushed that to the side because we're too busy with, and you can name X, Y, Z, whatever it is you're busy in your world. So the upcoming New Earth Academy, I'm going to really focus on this and help to support people through the collective shift that's happening at the moment and really look beyond that, and so that we can move past this and also then be able to really come back into ourselves and into the power of us, and not with the overlays from other people, but really be able to step into our own power. And I know it's challenging, especially when, family members, etc., etc. But you haven't come here at this period of time to cruise on an island and pretend that everything's okay. You've come here to evolve as a soul, to experience not only your own soul evolution, but also the evolution of humanity. And that's why we're here at this time. That's why you're feeling very pressured and very emotional. And I had a look at the Schumann resonance yesterday. It had been moving from 78 to 92, so sorry, 72 to 96. So the light is very powerful, and in a room where you have a shadow side of yourself, the light is really pounding down and shining on that and saying, you need to deal with this now. You can't put up with it any longer. So I hope this gives you some comfort at this period of time. Know that we're all sort of going through a similar thing, but there's nothing like experiencing it for yourself and being on the other side, because truly then you can help other people when you know the depths of what happens in your own inner world, and then you can see it in new light. Then that's how you can help other people. And anyway, when you move through your own stuff, it helps other people because it removes it out of the unified field. Anyway, I hope you're traveling well. Apart from that, I look forward to another conversation with you at another time. Be very gentle and nurture yourself and kind yourself, because a Scorpio aspect in your chart, and especially in this eclipse season, it's the last bit of the eclipse season, but everything's under the spotlight at the moment. Nothing can hide. So enjoy your day. And for those joining in the New Earth Academy, I'll see you there. Bye.